Start with Hine Matov on page 10. How good it is that we're actually all together here in person. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine Matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov shevet achim gam yachad. Let's hear you. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. That's great. Keep singing. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, hine matov. Ya la 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 la. Hine matov, hine matov. Ya la 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 la. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom. We've made it, 5782. Some people question, would we make it here? We're here. We made it. We're together. We have so much to celebrate just being here tonight as a community in person and online and maybe intergalactic participation. We don't know, right, Hiram? We also are celebrating Hiram's bar mitzvah, which is very exciting. And you will see a cameo from Hiram later as he chants the Via Hafta. We're very excited. And we're coming to the end of the book of Deuteronomy. And, Moses is not going to be going into the promised land with the Israelites. They're going to be on their own. So he is doubling down. He's really pushing the Israelites to take in all the wisdom that they've learned, all the mitzvot, all the commandments, all the small bits and bobs that Hiram will be taking on as a son of the mitzvot. Tomorrow, you have a couple more hours just to totally kick back before that. And there's a beautiful piece here in the Midrash talking about a line here where Moses is saying, it's not a trifling thing. This is your very life. All the bits and bobs really matter. You really have to pay attention. And so the rabbis in the Midrash says, whoever nurtures a fig tree shall eat all the fruit. Why is a Torah likened to a fig tree? Because all other fruit contains useless, inedible matter. Dates have pits, grapes have seeds, pomegranates have rinds, but the fig, all of it is edible. So the words of the Torah have no worthless matter in them. Because it says in this week's Parsha, it says, for this is not a trifling thing for you. It's your very life. And so this bit that we received today with Hiram, with all of us being here, you all are contributing your bit to the wholeness, to the sweetness of this Shabbat, of this receiving Torah. And we sing a new song, Shir Chadash, together, bringing in Kabbalat Shabbat on page 344.
Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth, a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru L'Adonai Shir Chadash. Shiru l'Adonai, Shiru l'Adonai, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, Shiru l'Adonai, Shiru l'Adonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, Kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai, Shir Chadash. Lai la lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai.
We continue with L'Chadodi on pages 20 and 21, and we will be singing verses 1, 2, and then at the top of 21, 5, and then at the bottom, 9.
Let's hope that works. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor vezachor bedibur echad, Hishmianu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad ushmo echad, Leshem tiferet velitila. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki hi mekor habaracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshava tefila. And lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, kiva orechu miori, uri, uri, shir daveri, kevod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. We rise, we face that entrance where that Shabbat bride is welcomed in with all of our heart and all of our voices. Boi veshalom hateret bala, gam besimcha husola, toch emunei am segula. Boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kalai, yalalai, 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 pnei Shabbat nekabela.
Please continue standing for the Baruch Hu on page 28.
Yai lai lai, Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la. Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Vaed. Ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la, ya la 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 la.
On the bottom of page 31. I know that the tide is not an independent force, but merely the submission of the water to the movement of the moon in its orbit. And this orbit, in its turn, is subject to other orbits, which are far mightier than it. And so the whole universe is held fast in the clinging grip of strong hands, the forces of earth and sun, planets and comets and galaxies, blindly erupting forces ceaselessly stirring in ripples of silence to the very depth of black space. Baruch atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim. We read together in English at the top of page 33. As you taught Torah to those whose names I bear, teach me Torah too. Its mystery beckons, yet I struggle with its truth. You meant Torah for me. Did you mean the struggle for me too? Don't let me struggle alone. Help me to understand, to be wise, to listen, to know. Lead me into the mystery. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Vaed.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'eleh asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha veshinantam levanecha v'dibartam bam b'shivtecha v'veitecha uv'lechtecha v'derech uv'shokbecha uv'kumecha uv'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha uvisharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'yatem kedoshim le'Elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem le'Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem
I mean, who here thinks Hiram's ready for tomorrow? Yeah, come on, yeah. Amazing, beautiful. That may be the most beautiful Via Hafta I've ever heard. It was so soulful. And I think we were talking about this at the family service, is that the rabbis are very clear that when you pray, you shouldn't pray from rote, from memory. This is a big concern for them because if you've ever been to a traditional service, you might notice it's quite rapid and fast and they're really moving through it. And they really want us to bring our hearts into it. And they actually aren't even so committed to Hebrew. If you know Hebrew, that's fantastic. If you don't know Hebrew, they really just want you to speak whatever prayer you need to offer in your own language. It should be of the heart, and that God will receive it in whatever language you offer it. So as we are in the new year of 5782, and we have emerged blessedly out of Yom Kippur, and we are in the good book, this is a time to think about how in our lives we want to commit to how we show up in the world. In particular, with the Michamocha, our song of deliverance, our song of redemption, our song of liberation, we're not meant to just sing the song. We're meant to really ask ourselves, Michamocha, like, who is like you, God, in our own lives? And how am I going to carry the weight of that tradition of having been liberated? How do I want to help liberate others in the world? So as we prepare for the Michamocha, I invite you to just take 10 or 15 seconds in silence to ask yourself, what will you be doing in this year ahead to carry forward a tradition of liberation, of caring for the stranger, of assisting the oppressed? We join together for the Mi Chamocha on page 40.
As we take this moment under the stars and just take a breath. This is our evening prayer, the Hashkivenu. It's a prayer that we ask God to protect us, to shelter us, to look after us, in hopes that we might have a good night and a restful night and a peaceful night. Join with me in Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu L'Shalom. ושלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Shelter us beneath thy wings, shelter us beneath thy wings. Oh Adonai, guard us from all harmful things. Oh Adonai, keep us safe throughout the night, till we wake with morning's light. Teach us, God, wrong from right. Amen. Amen.
We now take a moment to prepare for the Amidah. This is a time of supplication, of offering what's on our heart. It's also, we sometimes have this feeling that after Yom Kippur that the gates have closed, and maybe there's something that you didn't quite get to. You didn't quite get to say, I'm sorry. You didn't get to forgive yourself or reconcile something, because we have a lot of work to do during that time. So sometimes we don't get to all of it. So it's just a little good news, a little bulletin, is that in the Zohar, they actually say that Yom Kippur is not the final moment. That Hoshana Rabbah, which is 11 days later, which is at the end of Sukkot, is when the final sealing occurs. So I'm just going to invite you to really take advantage of this Amidah, because offering this this moment where we come together is a moment that we have constructed in this space, and the doors are still open, the gates are still open, and to offer. If there's anything that you feel like you didn't get to, this is your opportunity to take advantage of it. So I invite you to rise for the Amidah on page 46.
So, Rabbi, I think what you were saying was, it isn't just a once-a-year offering. We have this opportunity every week, every Shabbat.
It's a little bonus time, and every Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר הסתי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם, בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה הכל אתה, רב להושיע, מוריד הטל. מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיה הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נובלים ורופא חולים, הוא מתיר אסורים, הוא מקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בגבורות ומיתו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ובצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום, יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
You are invited to continue in silent prayer, either pursuing the words in the Siddur, the meditations of your heart, standing or sitting when you're ready.
Say shalom, shalom bimroma. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael ve'iru amen. Hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael Yisrael, Veiru Amen. Ve'al kol Yisrael,
Amen. Thank you, Cantor Gates. So we are coming into Sukkot. This is one of the 3 pilgrimage festivals. Do people know what are the other 2? Other 2, we have Sukkot, Pesach, and Shavuos. Okay, beautiful. Thank you. All right, I like Hiram representing. This is good because I always say this, that when you become a bar mitzvah, it's true when you get married, it's true with really any moment in your life. It's like, it is about you. You've worked hard, but it's really like the people around you that help get you through the hard times. And so, good team. You have a good team. So, Sukkot is one of the 3, and it is called Zman Simchatenu, which is the season of our rejoicing, which I think is pretty fantastic because we're coming out of Yom Kippur, which can be a kind of intense period. We know that Passover is called Zman Herutenu, the season of our freedom, we're liberated. And then Shavuot is referred to as Zman Matan Tortenu, season of giving of our Torah. So we are about to enter Zman Simchatenu, this season of rejoicing. And the rabbis have this conversation, like, why do we have this season of rejoicing coming out of the kind of solemn time of atonement where we're doing deep soul searching, cheshbon chanefesh, accounting of our souls and how we want to change. And the Kotzker Rebbe says that this joyfulness is maybe a byproduct of the holiness, that we go very deep on the holiness. And then once you do that internal cleaning, you can just feel a little lighter, a little bit more joy in the world. And so let's just do a quick, we can't tell from the people online, but I'm just wondering if people coming out of Yom Kippur feel a little bit lighter and a little more joyful. Okay, we only have about 6 or 7. 6 or 7. It's about half the room. Okay, the rabbis don't always get it right. We know this from modern rabbis as well. And so we're trying to figure out, what does it mean in our modern time? Like, why is this the season of rejoicing? And how are the Israelites instructed to bring this into the promised land? And so we see in Leviticus that it says, you shall live in booths in a Sukkot, in a single Sukkot, it's a sukkah is a booth, and Sukkot is the plural. So you're supposed to live in these Sukkot for 7 days. And that way, future generations will know that I, meaning God, made Israelite people live in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. And so we still wonder, like, who here lives in a booth? So it's not a practice that we normally have. And does anybody sleep in a booth in a sukkah during Sukkot? No. What is amazing is that, I don't know if people have seen over this time of COVID, is that there has been a big spike in, we always have a lot of homelessness, but more, I think, more visible homelessness in new places as well, especially if you see in that curve in San Vicente and Brentwood, a veteran homeless. And I was just really right down the street from us, there's 2 homeless spots where individual, I believe, homeless or unhoused men set up every night. And I think about how people keep the mitzvah that they're not even aware that they're keeping, that people are dwelling in these temporary dwellings and in some way fulfilling the mitzvah of the mitzvot. So we are called to live into the space of these. Hey, how are you? Shabbat shalom. Nice to see you. To live in a sukkah during this time, to return to the sense of fragility. And it seems kind of ironic because we are coming out of this period of Yom Kippur, which for me is a time of great fragility, where I'm really looking at my deepest vulnerabilities. So it is hard, it's always been hard for me to align fragility with a space of joy. And part of why we live in this, either eat or study or live in a sukkah, is because we are seeking to have a sense of being back on the land, of being seeing the sky above us, and have a sense of being in a temporary space. And this reminded me of an incident that happened to me Wednesday, which is right before Erev Yom Kippur. I went out to Will Rogers, which, as many of you know, is a place I love to go. And I went running, and I was just completing my kind of trail run. And I felt like I was attacked by the earth. But basically, I tripped, and I went flying, and I lost like a lot. I lost a lot of flesh, and I thought I cracked a rib and my knee, and I just was covered in dirt. I had some blood, and I was wondering, like, is this the fragility of Sukkot did I get this in advance? And feeling the sense of fragility, I'm 48, so anytime something like this happens to me, I'm wondering, like, will I never be running again? My wife says that sometimes I'm an optimist, that really underneath I'm a little catastrophizer. But I think that there is something about Sukkot and the sense of encountering fragility where we all of a sudden have a realization about blessings that are around us, things that we normally we just take advantage of. We're not even conscious of them. So this is, I think, a complicated way to enter into happiness. And in conversation with another congregant, she said, there was a big course at Yale on happiness. And it turns out it was the most popular course that they've had in over 300 years. It's a psychology course on how to live and be happy. There were 1,200 people that signed up for this course. They've now run it through one of these online universities, and 3.3 million people have signed up for this course. So you would wonder, what is the key essence, the key teaching of such scholars at Yale that they're teaching about happiness? What would you think would be kind of essential takeaways in your own life? What would you say? What leads to happiness? Acceptance? Ooh, I like that. That's good. What was that one? A beginner's mind, being curious. Yes. Gratitude. What else? Being content. I love that. What would you say? A sense of accomplishment. I like that. That might even be like a sense of meaning, that what you're doing matters. Yes, in the back. Being comfortable with yourself. Self-love. Self-acceptance. Self-compassion. I love that. Yes. Open-mindedness. I love that. Great. So these are very good. We could get like 3 million people with our course. We could do a course just with us. Yes. So the three big takeaways for them was gratitude. It was helping others, that when we help others, and this was my favorite one, which I think is very Shabbat related, which is sleep, which I see that many of you need some sleep right now. So you're in very good shape. I always say when I lead meditations, if people fall asleep, I'm like, that is victory, because people are exhausted and we need to rest. And the best thing about keeping Shabbat is you're encouraged to nap. So you're doing a mitzvah right now if you fall asleep while I'm speaking. I don't feel any ill feeling. I feel like I'm like serving the divine in this moment. So that's a blessing for me. So the last thing that I just want to add in our time of happiness, because I think many of us think that what we're trying to find in our lives is happiness. But I think that so many of the other things that we've said are the things that give us a deep sense of being content and feeling really satisfied. And sometimes I think we struggle because we set this bar of happiness, and that feels very ephemeral. It's very much like living in a sukkah. And so Rabbi Mark Greenspan wrote that what we learn is that happiness is not something we get, but a product of how we live. It is a goal that we can strive for, not simply by self-gratification, but finding a balance between satisfaction, and aspiration. It's also a product of seeing the world in context. And that is why Sukkot is Man Simchat, because we're really out in a place of fragility. We're back on the earth, and we also get to see ourselves. I love that you have a sense of self and a sense of self-love. So I just wanted to give the blessing to all of you as we come out of this experience where we're really digging into the nooks and crannies of our lives of Yom Kippur, which can be really exhausting. It's so important that we do it, that we also create space to have happiness in whatever form that takes, if that's gratitude or self-love or appreciation or finding meaning in what we're doing or connecting to others, or ushbazin, the idea of bringing strangers into our life and just helping people that we don't even know. So may that in the next number of days as we prepare for this date, that we carve out time for yourself, and that is sincerely good. People are talking about it. With that sense of self-love, of love for others, of caring for others, of caring for the stranger, we want to make space to name those that are struggling of mind or body or spirit for our Misha Beirach prayer. If there is somebody that you're thinking of, invite you to rise, and when my eyes meet yours, that you can speak their name aloud, or you can just raise your hand also. And if there's anybody online, I invite you to speak that name right now. Together for the Misha Beirach on page 253. Invite you to rise, a body or spirit, for the Aleinu on the bottom of page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר וידוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד ושמו אחד ושמו אחד.
As we recite Kaddish this evening, we especially remember David Ashkenazi, Anna Z. Bear, James Bardis, Penelope Bardis, Joseph Emma, Norma Fishback, Cora W. Carey, Mitty Giesberg, Boris Gutman, Edith Cruz, Eleanor Lappin, Roz Livingston, Robert Lowenson, Therese Deborah Lowenthal, Jean Mandel, Celia Mitchell, Edward M. Ornitz, Renee B. Rice, Millard Rosenberg, Ben Satnick, George T. Schwartz, Sue Ellen Lord Schwartz, Robert Stoller, Martin Widzer. If there are others on your heart in this moment that you are thinking of, invite you to rise and share their name aloud with our community. We join together the words of Kaddish Tome on page 294. Please rise, body or spirit. Yikadal v'yikadash shemei rabah, be'alma di'avra chiruti, yivlimlich malchute, b'chayachon uv'yomechon, uv'chaye d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru, amen. Yehi shmei rabba mivarach le'olam olmei almaya. Yit barach v'yish tabak v'yit pa'ar v'yit roman v'yit naseh. V'yit hadar v'yit talev v'yit halal shmei d'kudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata. Tush b'chata v'nechemata. Dam ni'aran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chaim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'yakol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. May their memories to continue to be a blessing in our lives.
Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru, amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael. That was in the spirit of Zaman Simchatenu.
There you go. I really wish all of you just a sweet, sweet Shabbat. May it be restful. May you get that nap in. May you be kind to others. And may you be grateful for all the goodness in your lives. Thank you so much for being here.
Shabbat shalom.